The Marion County Sheriff's Office hosted their annual Children's Christmas Party this last week. There, students were treated to entertainment, food, live music, and gifts. From face painting to canine unit training, students will surely have more than enough to talk about all Christmas break long.
Oh no! Oh no, he let the leash off! He's gonna get him! He's gonna get him! He just took the leash off!
Throughout the day, students were able to learn more about the Sheriff's Department while still having fun and enjoying a warm holiday spirit. They were able to meet and pet horses used by officers, they got to see specialized SWAT vehicles, and they even got to step inside a portable mock jail cell. All of this, plus the fire department even gave tours of their fire trucks and emergency vehicles. After the children learned what the Sheriff's Department does and the equipment they use, they were then greeted with a live band and choir performance from Trinity Catholic High School. Students then ate and excitedly waited to receive their gifts from Santa Claus himself. All in all, it was a wonderful wintertime celebration that was only possible through the kindness and generosity of our community. From the Marion County Sheriff's Office to the Marion County Fire Rescue and all of our other community partners, this party really helped to get the Christmas spirit into the air.
Decorating for Christmas is a great pastime. But the Marion County Employment Services Department takes it up a notch. Although it's a competition, the real reason is something completely different.
This is the second annual Employment Services Christmas Celebration Competition. And this year we have really amped up for the students that are coming from 8th Street Elementary. We'll have about 175 students coming in. The ladies have worked very hard at home after hours preparing for this and brought it all together within a very short time to decorate and prepare for the students that are coming today. It's all employee driven, employee funded, and a great healthy competition. It was a great team building experience. We've absolutely had a blast doing this.
All aboard! All aboard! Are they
And we are just so excited about seeing the students. Most of us in employment services have come from a school site, and we all miss the students terribly. So being able to see them come through and experience that, you know, our effect on students is somewhat far-reaching, because our responsibilities are to facilitate the processes for our administrators so that they can focus on the students. So being able to reach out to the students directly is amazing. We're so excited and can't wait.
What's a better way than to include our students in this very festive and well put together idea, and it hopefully brighten their day.
I thought last year we needed a mental break and to get us all in what we call the Christmas spirit. So I issued a challenge for each department to decorate their space with a Christmas theme. Well, they did, and they did such an awesome job. So naturally this year they decided that they wanted to really go all out. So this is the result of that. And we're going to invite 8th Street Elementary over so that the kids can walk through and also see it, and we hope that they will be just as excited as we are. This has given us an opportunity to promote team building and just to be able to work together and to know that we can depend on one another in all situations. So we're ecstatic, we're happy. So Merry Christmas from Employment Services.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you from Mrs. Santa.
Hello, Marion County Public Schools would like to give you a special holiday treat. The book chosen this year is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. You will hear from various people reading excerpts from the book. So here we go. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with his sour Grinch frown, at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings? He snarled with a snare. Tomorrow is Christmas? It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh the noise, noise, noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas thing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing.
Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming, but how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick.
All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, giddy up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town.
All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming, sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number one, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go.
Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboard tricycles, popcorn and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney.
Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee, and now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree.
And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
But, you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child, then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou, who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up.
Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, that old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other whose houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other whose mouses.
It was 1:15 dawn, all the who's still in bed, all the who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsels, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the who's, he was Grinchlessly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo.
That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all.
He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
Well, what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed off with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Merry, Merry Christmas, everyone.